We know that the brain keeps images of events and neurons create paths and patterns of images similar to create memories, but it looks to understand it with previous images and memories. What many do not know is that the whole body and the fascia, the connective tissue, keeps the largest registry of unconscious and buried memories, emotions, and all the sensations, from olfactory to audio. Within the wrinkles of the whole body, in its internal tissue, is the largest store of buried memories. However, it is the brain that processes them related to with other images accumulated there since you were born, or perhaps since immemorial times from another lifetime. The somatic cranial from cranial osteopathy is the technique that I am a specialist to help people to see, to remember everything that was buried inside the body. The memories buried inside wrinkles of connective tissue, the fascia, the body postures that you had, and facial gestures are the ones that trigger the memory. Sometimes only contact with the heat of the hands and ask the participant to pay attention in that area, and at the same time contact in a semi-dream state with your higher self. Then the images and memories come, even being able to reconstruct the whole scenario that happened, then with the emotions of that moment. All this is buried in the body. The whole memory of everything lived is buried in the memory of the tissue surrounded by its magnetic field. As we talked in the previous video, of the synchronicity and flexibility is connected by the heart to all the magnetic threads of planet Earth and all of other human beings who have had contact with a person in the past. Some threads may be already broken or worn out and seems to have affected very little or have any relationship between these people. But others closer, when the person changes, it does affect those who are related or related to it as well. This is already a fact experienced by thousands of cranial therapists and osteopaths all over the world. It's really the treatment of the central nervous system, because it's with the slow pulse, almost half of the breath, that goes up and down the cerebrospinal fluid from the sacrum to the cranium and makes an energy wave undulating by stumbling or blocking that is transmitted through the body of the tissue, and it creates undulations. This pulse is connected with the psyche and the magnetic field of planet Earth. There are 3 pulses, one more physical, coming from that pumping, slow pumping of the cerebrospinal fluid, rising and falling between 5 to 12 cycles per minute, called the first tide. Another, the second medium tide, it's of 3 cycles per minute, with variations of quality and energy knots near the body and almost nothing of variety of rhythm. And more incorporeal, that is related to the impact of the energy knots in the etheric and auric field of the individual, and another third completely in connection with the magnetosphere, which is the long tide. 1 cycle per minute to slowly recede and come back. A yin-yang, when one feels it, one feels completely outside of the body, in contact with the whole, both the participant and the therapist facilitator. Contact with this rhythm helps to clean many external energy knots, while as they are entering the body, it is the middle pulse or tide of the aura, which is in turn relates to the most physical and first tide, having the wrinkles inside the body in the connective tissue, inhibiting the bioelectric paths of the meridians used in acupuncture, which we talked about in the previous video on this subject. Therefore, it is established that if the memories are in the whole body and it is in contact with the mind, that one unravels in the intrinsicus and knots that are buried there. Only you and your body know what it will be able to bring them out with the help of a specialist. This is the most important thing about how to go directly to the cause instead of the effect of any imbalance. Taking into account that the neuropeptides find their other molecule where to discharge the emotional charge, which is really vibrational, as Dr. Candice Pert tells us, and we speak about it in the video of the BioEmotional centers. And this depends on the vibration that accompanies and the vibration of the person who expresses himself above all emotionally. All imbalances that are later shown as diseases have an emotional component that only you know, that only you can unravel. Being all vibrational imbalances, we could do the same as the Tibetan monks. Put your hands in the area and singing or toning frequencies that soothe the pain or for any physical effect, while the mind does its work of recognition of what happened. The heat that comes out of the concentrated mind in your hands passes through the nervous system and softens the metal, as shown here folding spoons or forks. Heating it with a fire in this way is impossible to do it. This I have demonstrated many times in the classes, and I have asked my students to do it. If you keep your mind in your hands, it heats differently than rubbing your hands, which would be the circulatory system. This type of heat is the healing magnetic that actually is used in all of the hands-on treatments. This power coupled with the voice is spectacular, and we are ready to demonstrate that if we can do it, as monks did it in ancient times, it is to keep the mind as long as possible concentrated in the spoon with the vibration of emotional intent and the spectacular sounds of records that our voice can achieve.
So we can actually turn things around. So if we can really concentrate in our mind with our mind we can transform love, we can transform hate into love.
Vibrations are emotional, and singing and music is something that changes the emotional vibration in a spectacular manner. So we know we have the right tools in our voice. Our voice gives all records, from being able to imitate the birds and imitate all musical instruments, and become sublime with songs of whales. There are even special voices that could be healing, magical. This is well known of spontaneous healing that can arise in this way, while we have the nocebo that you can take yourself into a crisis of a panic, causing many physical imbalances only with your fear, as well as the placebo that brings you to heal by just unraveling the electromagnetic entanglements from the body with the mind working together. Sometimes it happens to people who are not supposed to be so prepared to believe it, or to many it happens without knowing what they did, while others tell you according to their beliefs, whether it was due to prayer or due to power of thought. It's really all together. You have to unravel electromagnetic knots with people or situations. This may be gone and you do not even know it either. Then the energetic knots of your aura or field of the body were freed. So that helps those that are in the connective tissue inside the body. Cranial somatic therapists know that by recognizing where in the past the problem started and changing the emotional impression also has arise spontaneous healing. Is placebo a senseless miracle? Or we can already know not only that it exists, but we can start to explain it scientifically and to understand it and to train ourselves to get to it. Therefore, it is yourself that can heal yourself. The problem with this consumer society is that the greatest weakness we have is dependence on health. after food. Medicine based in chemistry is so complicated that we quickly give up our power to understand it. While nobody knows your emotional path and where the problem began to arise within your environment and finally inside your body. In addition to healing something and making else sick, it is what makes us most dependent for life. Does not cure you, only make substitutes to keep you in an illness, more or less appease the effects without going to the causes, neither energetically nor emotionally. The cranial pulse and the movements of the centers are felt with a caress-like touch with the hands. Leave them almost floating, almost one hand on one side of the body and another on the other side, to contact between them. Without being intrusive, the person surrenders. The tissue manifests what is inside buried, and you feel more. The moment one hand contacts the other with the heat going through the body, it's like having an energy ball between your hands, and you begin to perceive movement. We never direct, we flow with it, without judging, no questioning. It is truly loving giving of oneself in deep contact, and to feel the cranial pulse, one really needs someone to help you in presence with their hands. To reach different areas of the body. Really, there are sounds of vowels that has to, in the Spanish language, that it gives you the power of vibration to move that tone. They are pure tones. The same as the bioemotional centers would have to do the vowel sounds as pure tones. In English, each vowel sound has two tones. If you hear them in Spanish, they are pure tones and are more effective. So we invite you to imitate them in this way. There are different tones to reach different areas of the body. Really, there are sounds of vowels that has to, in the Spanish language, that it gives you the power of vibration to move that tone. They are pure tones. The same as the bioemotional centers would have to do the vowel sounds as pure tones. In English, each vowel sound has two tones. If you hear them in Spanish, they are pure tones and are more effective. So we invite you to imitate them in this way. For example, in English, the you is the one that you can bring down. Meanwhile, in Spanish, it's the oh. So we invite you to do it in Spanish. The same as we do instead. The you for us is you up there to the throat. It's like a tunnel for the throat. Meanwhile, the a is not the is the word that opens the chest. It's of mom and dad, not a. So it's So we invite you to find this new system of pure vowel sound very interesting vibrationally in that area, much more than the English system. Imitate the sound of the vowel, but if you can elongate it as much as a minute, it would be preferable. First, put a hand in the back in the sacrum and another one in the pubic bone in the front, and feel them contact with the heat. Second, one hand underneath the navel in the front and another hand in the back below the waist. Third, one hand in the solar plexus between the ribs and the other one on top of the waist in the back. Fourth, one hand in the chest and another hand as high as you can in the back. Fifth, one hand in the throat and the other hand in the neck, back of the neck. Sixth, one hand like on top of the eyes and the other hand in the back of the head. Seventh, one hand in the back of the neck and the other hand in the top of the crown of the head. On the topic of physics of the health, treatment should be customized to the energy and specific path of the person. Do not treat the same effects or diseases the same for everybody. It's a whole different world of treating health issues by going to the source of energy, light and sound we will use. The proposal is to customize the frequencies for all the instruments that are made now about energetic medicine, using laser, plasma, magnets, and ultrasonics. The medication of the future is light and sound. In this software and application of mobiles, we can not trust frequencies due to the microphones. This will be for the next future with better technology, mostly microphones. This is the proposal of the software and application for mobiles BioEmocionales. Stephen Hawking would have known when he was young that many theories of physics are the basics of medicine.
Light
He would have
manifests
helped
itself
us
in
and would have
colors,
helped
in a
himself
constant
too.
pendular yin-yang movement. It absorbs one color and reflects its complementary color. The warm red inside the body inverts to cold blue. Inverse waves create the motor of life and its infinite energy. And the colors are the emotions.